Chapter 51. Dawn Breaks, an Unexpected Encounter. He never imagined that while resting, he would become the target of a magical beast. If not for the presence of the poisonous scaled python, he might have already been dead. The poisonous scaled python posed a significant threat, preventing other magical beasts from approaching. However, the fact that an aerial magical beast dared to attack him meant it was either stronger than the python or a natural predator of snakes. Snake predators are numerous, especially among aerial magical beasts, which often have an advantage over snakes. Although the poisonous scaled python was a large constrictor, it was still a type of snake and vulnerable to its natural enemies. At this moment, Luwu was unaware that in the direction the poisonous scaled python was heading, he would encounter someone he had longed to see. Meanwhile, Yiling had finally found a new shelter, a tree hollow. In this secret realm, there were many towering trees, some of which had holes. While not as safe as the previous cave, it was a decent option that could at least conceal them from many magical beasts. After thoroughly checking the surroundings for safety, Yiling entered the spacious hole with Shuiyu following closely. In this secret realm, one wrong move could be fatal. Even if not deadly, the best-case scenario would be elimination from the trial. Constant vigilance was necessary to avoid giving magical beasts any opportunity. Yiling couldn't afford to fail. Failure in the secret realm meant disqualification and losing the chance to enter the Spirit Master Academy. After working so hard to gain more resources and become stronger, failure was not an option for Yiling. Thus, Yiling wouldn't leave Shuiyu's side momentarily in the secret realm. It was safest by Shuiyu's side. Moreover, the greatest danger might not be from magical beasts but from other people. In order to reduce the pressure of facing strong opponents in the second stage, some students might resort to extreme measures. There were no rules in the secret realm, so such behavior was tacitly accepted. Here, one had to face threats not only from magical beasts but also from fellow humans. Finding a comfortable spot, Yiling closed his eyes. Having been busy for most of the night's first half, he needed to rest well for the second half to be alert during the day. Soon, Yiling fell asleep. Shuiyu, meanwhile, loyally carried out its protective duties. With unlimited stamina, it did not need rest. It stood quietly at the entrance of the tree hollow, sensing its surroundings. As time passed, the night sky gradually faded. The secret realm slowly returned to light. The magical beasts that preferred to move in darkness now quietly hid away, waiting for the next nightfall. However, this didn't mean the danger had passed. Though daylight had come, the secret realm remained perilous. The weather at this time was still eerie. In the early morning, a thick mist covered the entire secret realm. While it felt somewhat better than nighttime, it was impossible to discern directions in the fog. One wrong step could lead to an encounter with terrifying magical beasts. The creator of this secret realm was impressive, considering various weather conditions. This made the first trial, which appeared to be somewhat difficult, much more challenging. In this dense fog, visibility was less than 10 meters. The best strategy in such conditions was to stay put. Magical beasts could find prey with their superior sense of smell, but humans had no way to detect them. As soon as it was light, Yiling woke up. It was impossible to sleep well in such a wild environment. He had merely made do. Suddenly, Shuiyu took an alert stance at the edge of the tree hollow. It wouldn't act this way without danger nearby. Something was approaching them. The previously drowsy Yiling instantly became alert. This was no time for deep sleep. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Soon, a sound reached Yiling's ears. It sounded like a snake-like magical beast sliding across the ground and grass. Hurrying to the side of the tree, hollow, Yiling looked out. However, he saw nothing but emptiness. This wasn't Yiling's fault. The thick fog outside severely limited visibility. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The sliding sound grew closer and closer. Soon, a huge head appeared in Yiling's field of vision. It was the head of a python, its tongue flicking in and out. On the python's back sat a pale-faced person. Luwu. How did he end up here? Yiling wondered. Chapter 52. Despair. Of course, Yiling knew Luwu. It was surprising that this annoying fellow had come to his side. Moreover, Luwu's pale face and bloodshot eyes indicated that he was in poor condition. He looked as if he was being chased by something, rushing about in a hurry. Luwu, who had been fleeing all night, felt slightly relieved when he saw the thick fog early in the morning. He thought that if he couldn't see clearly through the fog, the monsters in the sky probably couldn't either. But clearly Lu Wu had guessed wrong. Otherwise, he wouldn't have ended up in such a panic-stricken state of flight. The black-winged eagle, while pursuing Lu Wu and his poisonous-scaled python, couldn't see through the mist with its sharp eyes, but could still make out some outlines. And seeing the outline of the poisonous-scaled python was enough. The black-winged eagle had been following steadily in the sky. This guy seems to be hunted by some monster. There's nothing on the ground. Could it be from the sky? Yiling couldn't help but speculate about what kind of monster was chasing Lu Wu to put him in such a miserable state. It's worth noting that while Lu Wu wasn't the strongest among the students, he was still a level 5 spirit master of the First Order. With his poisonous-scaled python, ordinary First Order monsters shouldn't be able to harm him. But now Lu Wu was fleeing like a rat, which suggested that the monster hunting him was either at least level 8 of the First Order or a natural predator of Lu Wu's spirit beast. Unable to find anything on the ground, it had to be something in the sky. Screech! A cry rang out from the sky, its clear voice piercing within the clouds. Just hearing this sound, Yiling could basically confirm that this was the monster hunting Lu Wu. Whoosh! 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 A series of wind sounds came, and the thick fog was suddenly blown away, revealing the exhausted poisonous-scaled python. Since late last night, the poisonous-scaled python had been fleeing non-stop, finally reaching this place after a long journey, while also taking care not to let Lu Wu fall off its back. The poisonous-scaled python was exhausted. It collapsed on the ground, motionless, its tongue constantly flicking in and out. As the poisonous-scaled python collapsed, Lu Wu naturally rolled onto the ground. Ah! Lu Wu cried out in pain as he touched the wound on his left arm. The intense pain cleared the drowsiness from his mind. After fleeing for an entire night, Lu Wu was almost on the edge of mental collapse. His eyes were bloodshot and filled with red veins. If one were uninformed, they might believe he was under the influence of an evil spirit. Damn it! Get up! Keep running! Get up! Lu Wu roared with a twisted expression as he clutched his wound and approached the poisonous-scaled python. Having struggled through the night, Lu Wu didn't want to give up now. He kicked the poisonous-scaled python repeatedly, his heart full of unwillingness. He wasn't weak by any means. Although he couldn't compare to the geniuses from other families, he was at least stronger than his classmates. His father had always put enormous pressure on him, which had twisted Lu Wu's inner self. To gain more strength, Lu Wu would do anything. He wanted to surpass his father, to show him how strong his son could be. But before his dream could even begin, it was about to shatter. How could Lu Wu accept that? If he failed the Spirit Master Academy assessment, it would mean losing everything in his family. As the young master of the Lu family, failing the Spirit Master assessment would also mean losing his status as the heir. He would become a useless nobody. This wasn't what Lu Wu wanted. He had many ambitions yet to be fulfilled. He couldn't accept falling here. Despite being kicked repeatedly, the poisonous-scaled python still showed no reaction. Spirit beasts have intelligence too. The poisonous-scaled python had given its all to help its master, only to be treated this way by its own master. It didn't want to move anymore. Whoever wanted to move could move themselves. Screech! Another clear cry came from the sky. Lu Wu, who was still venting his anger, was suddenly startled. He looked up at the sky in terror. That pitch-black figure was gazing down at him with its sharp eyes. Lu Wu was still hesitating whether to press the emergency teleportation device in his hand. If he pressed it, he would be saved, but he would also lose his chance to enter the Spirit Master Academy. If he didn't press it, he might die here, leaving no remains. At this moment, a rustling sound came from nearby. Lu Wu, who was almost in despair, quickly looked over. He saw someone he despised to the core appear in front of him. Chapter 53. Unfairly Blamed. Lu Wu had thought someone might come to his rescue. However, he never expected to encounter the person he disliked the most, Yiling. The glimmer of hope in his heart instantly turned to despair. Upon seeing Yiling, Lu Wu didn't have any hope at all. He knew clearly that Yiling was a useless First Order Level 2 Spirit Master, with a zombie as his spirit pet. Even his poisonous-scaled python was no match for the Black Feather Eagle, let alone Yiling. Just my rotten luck to run into a Black Feather Eagle, Lu Wu grumbled. With only his exhausted poisonous-scaled python at hand, Lu Wu had no chance of winning. He knew he had no hope of passing the first stage of the test anymore. Although he was extremely reluctant to give up, his life was more important than anything else. Lu Wu understood that failing this test meant losing his family's support and any future connection with the Spirit Master Academy. Of course, if his family were willing to provide substantial resources, he might still have a chance. Unfortunately, no major family would be willing to invest their resources in someone who couldn't even pass the entrance exam, regardless of his father being the family head. It's all because of you. I'm disqualified, Yiling, but don't think you'll get off easy. Lu Wu, having decided to abandon the test, spat angrily at Yiling. If he had been looking for Yiling, Lu Wu wouldn't have left his initial teleportation point. He might not have encountered all these subsequent problems that led to his current situation of having to leave the secret realm. Lu Wu blamed everything on Yiling, believing it was because of him that he ended up in this predicament. Angrily pressing his emergency teleportation device, Lu Wu disappeared in a flash of light, along with his spirit pet, the poisonous-scaled python. Yiling, left behind and confused, thought to himself, "What the hell? How did this become my fault?" He had been peacefully hunting demons in the secret realm and suddenly became the scapegoat. However, Yiling didn't have time to dwell on this. With Lu Wu's disappearance, the black feather eagle in the sky naturally lost its target, and Yiling became its new prey. But Yiling wasn't worried at all. Although the black feather eagle was strong, it was far inferior to Shuyu. Based on the eagle's size, Yiling estimated its strength to be around level 8 of the First Order. It makes sense that it could chase down Lu Wu. The black feather eagle naturally countered the poisonous-scaled python, and with a 3-level advantage, Lu Wu never stood a chance. It was only possible to say that Lu Wu had terrible luck, coincidentally encountering his spirit pet's natural enemy. One thing was sure, Lu Wu's career at the Spirit Master Academy had ended here. Besides blaming his bad luck, he could only blame his lack of strength. Screech! The black feather eagle in the sky let out an angry cry. It was furious that its prey had escaped directly before its eyes after chasing it all night. Luckily, there was still another potential meal below. This time, the eagle wasn't going to play with its food. It intended to devour its prey in one gulp, giving no chance for escape. Meanwhile, Lu Wu, who had been teleported to the school plaza, clutched his wounds and looked at the big screen. His bloodshot eyes were full of hatred, but a cold smile played on his lips. He saw that the black feather eagle had now targeted Yiling. Even if Yiling didn't die, he wouldn't be able to pass the test. Lu Wu hoped Yiling wouldn't use his emergency teleportation device. That way, Yiling would surely die. Nearby medical staff approached Lu Wu, saying, "Student, please come with us to treat your wounds." Lu Wu's bloodshot eyes glared fiercely at the medical staff. He coldly rebuked, "No need. I want to stay here and watch. Don't disturb me. Get lost." At this point, Lu Wu no longer cared about his image. He only wanted to witness Yiling either being disqualified or killed. Taken aback by his outburst, the two medical staff members looked at each other helplessly. If someone refused treatment, what could they do? They eventually left without further action. Chapter 54. The Bed. Shang Lingkong and the Spirit Master Academy representatives could hear the loud scolding coming from the other side. Shang Lingkong couldn't forget Lu Wu. After all, he was the son of the Lu family, and they had met a few times before. He had assumed that these family heirs would at least pass the first stage of the assessment. Shang Lingkong was completely surprised that Lu Wu had been eliminated on the second day. As things stood, Lu Wu might be the first among all of the Radiant City family heirs to be eliminated. Imagining the constipated expression on Lu Yun's face, the head of the Lu family, Shang Lingkong felt somewhat pleased. He had never liked these families to begin with. He must be from one of those families, but by the looks of it, he's nothing special, Bai Tong remarked, looking at the disheveled Lu Wu with disdain. Family heirs had a higher starting point, so failing the assessment was particularly embarrassing. Generally, family heirs who couldn't even pass the first stage were considered worse than useless. It was easy to imagine that Lu Wu's future was essentially over. Useless shouting won't help. Standing here only brings shame to his family, said Hualing, herself from a prominent family, feeling embarrassed by Lu Wu's behavior. Lu Feng and Hong Xiu didn't say much, but their expressions showed they weren't impressed with Lu Wu either. What do you think? Is there a chance Yiling could defeat the Black-Winged Eagle? I think there is a chance, Hualing commented, showing more curiosity in Yiling, who who was now the black-winged eagle's target. She could tell the black-winged eagle was at level 8 of the First Order. It was not in the same league as the steel-winged bird that Yiling had dealt with earlier. Black-winged eagles were naturally more aggressive than steel-winged birds, and this one was a higher level. Yiling now faced a significant challenge: defeat the black-winged eagle. Teacher Hua, are you joking? Lu Feng looked at Hua Ling in surprise. Even though he thought highly of Yi Ling, he didn't believe Yi Ling could defeat the black-winged eagle. Among the students, the highest known power level was 8 of the First Order, and that was for a spirit pet that couldn't fly. Flying spirit pets had a natural advantage over non-flying ones. This meant that only 1 or 2 of the current students would be able to directly confront the black-winged eagle. And Yiling was not among those Lu Feng had in mind. Teacher Lu, it's not that simple. The outcome is still uncertain, Hong Xiu said, agreeing more with Hua Ling's viewpoint. Hearing this, Lu Feng just smiled without saying more. In his opinion, Yiling only had 2 options: either run away and quit the assessment or confront the eagle head-on. Lu Feng didn't think Yiling would be foolish enough to choose the latter. Whether he can or can't, our opinions don't matter. Let's keep watching. I'm becoming more curious about Yiling, Hua Ling said, her interest in Yiling growing. Bai Tong then suggested, just watching is boring. Why don't we place a bet? Sounds good. What should we bet on? Hong Xiu asked, somewhat interested despite unable to recruit Yiling for the Vermilion Bird Spirit Master Academy. Let's keep it simple. How about 50,000 Federation points? Bai Tong proposed. Agreed. I bet 50,000 on Yiling winning, Hua Ling said without hesitation. All right, but I'm betting 50,000 that he'll run away, Lu Feng added, not concerned about the amount. Chapter 55. Cunning, Level 2, Spiritual Chain. Although Yiling's strength was unknown, could he be stronger than the most prominent family disciples? In Lu Feng's opinion, this was impossible. After all, the foundation was there, and with all the resources, the gap was quite large. It was impossible to close this gap with just a little talent. Of course, Lu Feng also knew it wasn't absolute. However, compared to that tiny glimmer of hope, Lu Feng still thought Yiling would choose to retreat as a way to advance. I agree with Teacher Lu's idea. I also bet that Yiling will run away, Hong Xiu said decisively after careful consideration, following Lu Feng's choice. Now, only Bai Tong, who had proposed this idea, was left to place his bet. The 3 turned their gaze to him, seemingly waiting for his answer. Why are you all looking at me? My choice is different from yours. I choose that Yiling will be eliminated or possibly die, Bai Tong said, revealing a sly smile. Upon hearing Bai Tong's bet, the 3 looked at each other in surprise. They had been thinking about whether Yiling would run away or fight head-on, but hadn't considered whether he might be eliminated. Bai Tong, however, had focused on Yiling's possible outcome. The other 3 were at a disadvantage in their betting. My bet is fine, right? We didn't specify fixed options at the beginning, did we? So there's no problem with my choice, Bai Tong said. At this moment, the other 3 saw Bai Tong as utterly shameless. Well, I didn't expect you to be so devious, Teacher Bai, Hua Ling said, arms crossed and annoyed. Lu Feng and Hong Xiu felt similarly. After all, no one had expected Bai Tong to play like this. Given the current situation, Yiling had no chance of escaping. Even if he could avoid the black-winged eagle for a while, he would not be able to get rid of it entirely. Eventually, Yiling would have to face it. The black-winged eagle's strength was undoubtedly formidable. When fighting one-on-one, the current students had a slim chance of winning. So no matter what, Bai Tong had secured an unbeatable position because Yiling would undoubtedly be eliminated or killed. As for defeating the black-winged eagle, none of them had considered this possibility, not even Hua Ling, who thought highly of Yiling. Meanwhile, in the secret realm, Yiling, who was cautiously dealing with the black-winged eagle, was unaware that his next move had become the subject of a bet. Yiling was very clear about Shuiyu's current strength. It could even match a first-order level 10 monster. But facing flying monsters had always been Shuiyu's weakness. All of Yiling's spirit techniques level 1 wasn't particularly effective against this high-level, first-order monster. They might work against the previous steel-winged bird, but using the same method against the black-winged eagle was unrealistic. Even if his spiritual chain successfully entangled the black-winged eagle, it would break free immediately unless he raised his spiritual chain from level 1 to level 2. Thinking of this, Yiling recalled the free points he still possessed. After allocating points to Shueyu's skills and talents earlier, Yiling had 3 free points left. However, due to his limited spirit power, Yiling had been saving them for when he needed them. Now, it seemed he had no choice but to upgrade his spirit technique to deal with the black-winged eagle. Screech! The black-winged eagle in the sky let out another piercing cry. It seemed ready to launch an attack on Yiling. Glancing at Shueyu beside him, Yiling saw it was also very alert. But when facing a flying monster, Shueyu was willing but unable. At this point, Yiling's only hope was that Shueyu would acquire a flying talent or skill once it advanced to the second order. Now he had no other choice. Huff! Taking a deep breath, Yiling allocated one of his free points to the spiritual chain technique. The original level 1 spiritual chain changed. Spiritual chain level 2 requires 300 spirit power to use. When used, it releases a chain made of spirit power that can trap monsters below the second rank. Even second-order monsters can be restricted in their movement. The duration depends on the monster's rank. As expected, after upgrading, the spirit power consumption of the spiritual chain instantly increased twofold, from the original 100 to the current 300. Yiling's current spirit power only allowed him to use it 3 times. This was only if he had full spirit power. Although the consumption was very high, the effect had become much stronger. Monsters below the second order would struggle to break free from the level 2 spiritual chain. Of course, there might be some exceptions, but the black-winged eagle was not one of them. With the level 2 spiritual chain, Yiling now had the confidence to defeat the black-winged eagle. Chapter 56. Fierce Battle. After circling in the sky a few more times, the black-winged eagle finally made its move. It swooped down, attacking the ground at an incredible speed. As it neared the ground, Yiling felt an increasing sense of pressure from the eagle. Its 2 black wings beat constantly, generating gusts of wind. While Shueyu wasn't much affected, Yiling couldn't withstand it directly. He found a tree to take cover behind, shielding himself from the fierce winds. Yiling's movement didn't escape the eagle's sharp eyes. Coo, coo, coo. The eagle let out a low sound. At the same time, it didn't slow down. It flapped its wings vigorously, not just for flight but to launch its sharp feathers as projectiles. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. A barrage of shining black feathers flew toward the tree, where Yiling was hiding at an incredible speed. Before Yiling could give an order, Shueyu acted first. It positioned itself in the path of the incoming feathers. Clang, clang, clang. Shueyu's long claws, which looked like a series of swords, deflected all the incoming black feathers. Some embedded themselves in other tree trunks, while others landed on the ground. The low-flying eagle's sharp eyes flashed with surprise. It had not expected its feathers to be deflected so easily. However, this was merely surprising, not enough to make the eagle give up. In this secret realm, the eagle, at first-order level 8, was considered the sky's overlord. It had long been accustomed to doing as it pleased, with no other magical beasts able to challenge it. This had given the eagle an extremely arrogant temperament, believing itself to be the strongest ruler of the sky. Even if there were stronger magical beasts on land, they couldn't harm it. Suddenly, a fierce light flashed in the eagle's eyes, its gaze turning vicious. Screech! The eagle opened its sharp, hooked beak and released an ear-splitting cry. Invisible sound waves spread toward Shueyu and Yiling's position. The surrounding trees shook violently in the wake of these sound waves. Rustle! Rustle! Leaves fell incessantly from the trees. Shueyu, standing in front, only frowned slightly at the eagle's powerful sonic attack, not much affected. But Yiling, at the back, clearly heard the sound waves. He felt as if his head was about to split open and couldn't help but cry out in pain. Ah! As a zombie, Shueyu had strong innate immunity to such sonic attacks. Additionally, Shueyu possessed magic damage reduction intermediate, which could reduce damage from magical attacks to some extent. Sonic attacks were similar to magical attacks, so Shueyu naturally had some resistance. Hearing Yiling's cry, Shueyu's eyes flashed red. It instantly transformed into a blood mist, rapidly approaching the low-flying eagle. The eagle, still using its sonic attack, couldn't help but notice the blood mist approaching head-on. Its instincts told it not to confront this directly, to avoid being enveloped by that blood mist. With a mighty flap of its wings, The eagle prepared to fly back up into the sky. As it beat its wings, the eagle had to stop its sonic attack. It couldn't do both simultaneously, especially as a magical beast. Just as the eagle was about to ascend, Yiling, who was hiding behind the tree, wasn't about to let it escape so easily. Holding his aching head, Yiling felt like it was about to split open. But there was no time to dwell on that now. The most important thing was to find a way to control the eagle. It could only cause more problems if it returned to the sky. Stepping out from behind the tree, Yiling focused his eyes on the eagle. He quickly extended one hand towards it and shouted, "Spirit chains!" Ripples appeared in the space around the eagle. Blue spiritual energy surged within the space. Whoosh! Then, chains made of spiritual energy shot out from these ripples. The biggest difference from level 1 spirit chains was that level 2 chains were much thicker. At the same time, the number of chains increased from 6 to 8. The 8 spirit chains surrounded the eagle in a converging formation. This sudden change caught the eagle by surprise. I had never expected such a situation to occur. How could so many chains suddenly appear around it? The eagle had keen instincts. Faced with the converging spirit chains, it flapped its wings, trying to break free with its strength. Chapter 57. The Power of Level 2 Spirit Chains. Unbelievable Representatives. If this had happened earlier, before Yiling upgraded his spirit chains, the black-winged eagle might have had a chance to break free. Unfortunately for the creature, Yiling's spirit chains were now at level 2. Even low-level second-order magical beasts could not flee, let alone a first-order creature like the black-winged eagle. The eagle's struggles were in vain. Spirit chains from all directions firmly trapped it, leaving no room for escape. The eagle's range of movement became extremely narrow. Eventually, the spirit chains formed a cage-like prison, and the black-winged eagle became like a bird in a cage, stripped of its freedom. Seeing the eagle under control, Yiling finally breathed a sigh of relief. The earlier sonic attack had left him with a headache. He hadn't expected the black-winged eagle to possess such a skill. It was a harsh lesson. When facing unfamiliar enemies, one must be as cautious as possible about their safety. Although Spirit Masters' physical abilities improve as their spirit pets grow stronger and level up, they still lag far behind spirit pets and magical beasts in terms of physical prowess. "Shuiyu, it's your turn," Yiling commanded. With the black-winged eagle restrained and unable to take to the skies, Shuiyu wouldn't miss this opportunity. Meanwhile, outside the secret realm, a stunned silence fell over the crowd. Even Shang Lingkong widened his eyes in disbelief. Lu Wu, who had just emerged from the secret realm, stared with bloodshot eyes as if he'd seen a ghost. "How is this possible?" Lu Wu exclaimed, unable to believe what he was seeing. He had expected Yiling to be eliminated or killed, but the situation had defied his expectations. Not only had Yiling survived the black-winged eagle's attack, but he had also managed to subdue it. Lu Wu, who had been chased for half a night before being forced to forfeit, couldn't fathom how Yiling, the class underachiever, had suddenly displayed such prowess by controlling a first-order level 8 magical beast. The situation was the complete opposite of what he had anticipated. "I must be dreaming. This can't be real," Lu Wu shouted in frustration. How could a bottom-ranked student defeat such a powerful magical beast? Unable to accept reality, Lu Wu let out a helpless roar. He had already lost his chance to take the Spirit Master Academy entrance exam, and tomorrow he would lose his status as the Lu family's young master. Despite his resentment, there was nothing he could do. This was reality. Having lost his chance at the Spirit Master Academy and his family inheritance rights, Lu Wu was now a failure who would lose everything. Perhaps due to extreme fatigue and anger, he soon fainted and was carried away by medical staff. However, the Academy representatives and Shang Lingkong ignored Lu Wu. They were all stunned, unable to believe what they had witnessed. "A level 2 spirit chains?" A Spirit Master Academy teacher exclaimed from the back row. "How is this possible?" Another voiced in disbelief. "To master level 2 spirit chains in less than half a year. More importantly, this student is only at the first order. Even for a genius, this is too much." The Spirit Master Academy representatives buzzed with discussion, all astonished by Yiling's display of level 2 spirit chains. Spirit techniques were typically taught in the final semester of the third year, as they required sufficient spiritual power to be used safely. Forcing oneself to learn them prematurely could lead to backlash and potentially affect one's career as a spirit master. Generally, only second-order spirit masters could cultivate level 2 spirit techniques. No one in the Federation had ever heard of a first-order spirit master mastering level 2 spirit techniques. Yiling's appearance had broken this established rule, catching the eye of all the Academy representatives. However, their predominant reaction was one of disbelief. Chapter 58. Various parties show interest. Yiling's appearance could be said to have set a precedent. With only first-order strength, he managed to use a level 2 spirit technique. This was an unprecedented situation. This Yiling has given me a big surprise. Suddenly, Hualing couldn't maintain her ladylike image and burst into laughter. At the same time, her interest in Yiling grew even stronger. While previously Hualing had only thought of Yiling as an exceptional genius, now she believed he was far beyond that. He was a prodigy. Hualing undoubtedly won the bet that they had just made. The other three had lost completely. At first, Lu Feng and Hong Xiu thought they had chosen conventional approaches. They assumed he would run away first, but unexpectedly, Yiling showed no intention of fleeing and instead confronted the black-winged eagle head-on. As for Bai Tong, there was no need to mention how thoroughly he had lost. You've all lost to me. Don't forget, it's 50,000 Federation points each. I've kept track, Hualing said playfully, winking with an irrepressible smile on her delicate face. Although 150,000 Federation points weren't much for Hualing, she was so happy because she had discovered this prodigious side of Yiling. If Yiling had initially sparked Hualing's competitive spirit, now she believed she must recruit him to the Black Tortoise Spirit Master Academy. Being able to cultivate spirit techniques to level 2, while still at the first order, no Spirit Master Academy would let such a prodigy slip away. The lower-tier Spirit Master Academies sitting behind them weren't even worth considering. They couldn't compete. Now, Hualing's only concern was the 3 representatives from the other top-tier Spirit Master Academies sitting beside her. At first, she hadn't taken Hong Xiu seriously. But now it was different, as Hualing suddenly realized that Hong Xiu had also become interested in Yiling. Although the Vermilion Bird Spirit Master Academy explicitly stated they didn't recruit male students, rules were made to be broken. With such an outstanding prodigy like Yiling, even Hong Xiu was considering recruitment. But Hong Xiu had to notify the headmaster of this before recruiting Yiling. I'm going to the restroom, she said, then stood up and left immediately. She had to report this matter to the headmaster immediately, letting them decide whether to recruit Yiling or not. After all, Yiling was a male, thus not within the Vermilion Bird Spirit Master Academy's recruitment scope. But he was just too talented. Hong Xiu couldn't stand by and watch such an exceptional super genius slip away. Lu Feng and Bai Tong exchanged glances, both seeing the thoughts in each other's eyes. They had now set their sights on Yiling, all wanting to recruit this prodigy to their academies. The strength of the 4 top-tier Spirit Master Academies was nearly equal. In the annual Spirit Master Academy exchange meetings, they all had their wins and losses. No academy could dominate for years on end. Therefore, each Spirit Master Academy was now vigorously recruiting talent. They had no reason to let a prodigy like Yiling slip away. This is troublesome. Hualing's smile disappeared. She knew that recruiting for Yiling now would be much more difficult. The other 3 academies had the same idea. In the end, it would depend on which academy could offer conditions attractive enough to Yiling. This won't do. I must report this to the headmaster first and find a way to improve her offer, Hualing thought to herself. I need to use the restroom too, she said, then stood up and left with elegant steps. Lu Feng and Bai Tong also left one after another. As for the remaining Spirit Master Academies, they made no moves. They understood that a prodigy like Yiling would be vigorously pursued by the 4 top-tier Spirit Master Academies. They weren't qualified to compete with the top-tier 4 academies. They couldn't offer better conditions than the top 4, so what was the point in trying? Therefore, it was better not to get involved. They left the prodigy Yiling to the 4 top-tier Spirit Master Academies and turned their attention to other students. Among those present, only Shang Lingkong brimmed with joy because Yiling was from his Radiant City, a prodigy from Radiant City. Still, in the secret realm, Yiling had no idea that he had caught the attention of all 4 top-tier Spirit Master Academies simultaneously. At that critical moment, if he hadn't upgraded his spirit power chains to level 2, he would have been in real trouble. Yiling never expected his recent display to cause such a stir in the outside secret realm. At the same time, Shuyu had successfully eliminated the black-winged eagle. Chapter 59. The Alluring Vermilion Bird. The black-winged eagle, once a formidable creature ruling the skies of the secret realm, now lay defeated on the ground. Blood flowed profusely from its neck. Restrained by level 2 spirit chains, it couldn't even withstand Shueyu's all-out attack for a minute before perishing. Yiling allowed Shueyu to drink the eagle's blood this time. Although there was still plenty of blood on the ground, most of it had already gone into Shueyu's body. Shang Lingkong could be sure that Shueyu was a spirit pet that drank blood and was clearly undead. Generally, only undead spirit pets covet blood, though not all others do. Zombies and bats need blood, while skeletons and ghosts don't. Blood helps blood-dependent undead spirit pets grow, with a growth rate depending on the energy content of the blood. Higher-level magical beasts have more energy-rich blood, providing more growth potential. Unfortunately, Yiling had been leveling up in the Bone Burial Mound, where all the creatures were skeletal and bloodless. This secret realm offered a rare opportunity that Yiling didn't want to miss. Due to the massive blood loss, the black-winged eagle's corpse looked shriveled, almost mummy-like. The resourceful Yiling immediately set to work, harvesting various materials from the eagle's body. Indeed, every spirit master becomes a master of dissection, as defeating magical beasts is just the first step. Processing the remains from materials is a crucial skill. After dealing with the black-winged eagle, Yiling decided not to stay. This spot was intended only for a temporary overnight stay. He realized there was no need for a fixed location. He could keep moving in one direction, clearing out all magical beasts along the way. This would not only provide a variety of materials, but would also help him in Shueyu advance growth. He could easily find a suitable place to rest when night fell again. With his level 2 spirit chains and Shueyu by his side, no creature in the secret realm posed a threat to Yiling. He would be safe as long as he did not carelessly provoke a horde of magical beasts. Yiling packed up the evolution materials he had gathered and said, "Shueyu, let's go." He set off in the same direction as the previous night, moving further away from the mountain where they had first entered the secret realm. Shueyu's eyes flashed with an eerie light as it followed. This Yiling is no ordinary spirit master. He must be at least level 8 of the First Order. Who the hell compiled this data? Level 2 of the First Order? How could someone at that level hunt a level 8 beast? This is utter nonsense. Shang Lingkong fumed, looking at the information on his mini-computer. Meanwhile, back at Radiant High School, the representatives from the 4 top-tier Spirit Master Academies were reporting to their respective headmasters. Hong Xiu was communicating with her headmaster, whose virtual image, a woman wearing a golden mask, appeared on her left wristwatch. "Headmaster, I have something important to tell you," Hong Xiu said urgently. The woman in the golden mask was curious about what could make Hong Xiu so anxious. She knew Radiant City was somewhat remote with some talented individuals, but generally less impressive than bigger cities. During our first stage of assessment, Hong Xiu proceeded to describe Yiling's performance in the secret realm. The headmaster fell silent, then finally spoke, her voice filled with disbelief. "Are you sure about this? Someone with only first-order power using level 2 spirit chains? Hong Xiu, are you certain you're not mistaken?" the headmaster asked again to confirm. Without hesitation, Hong Xiu nodded firmly. "Yes, headmaster. Everything I've said is true. It all happened exactly as I described. So, what I want to know is, should our academy try to recruit him?" Chapter 60. Setting a Precedent. Conditions. Hearing this question, the headmaster in the golden mask fell silent. Hong Xiu knew her headmaster was conflicted even though she could not see her expression. At this moment, Hong Xiu didn't dare to interrupt the headmaster and chose to wait quietly. After a while, the golden-masked headmaster seemed to have finally made up his mind. Taking a deep breath, she fixed his gaze on Hong Xiu and said in a solemn voice, "Since he is such a prodigy, our academy could perhaps set a precedent. After all, rules tend to be flexible, and people are adaptable. The rules are set by the people. However, Hong Xiu, he must truly be that exceptional. I hope you understand this point." Receiving the reply from the headmaster, a hint of joy flashed across Hong Xiu's face. "No problem, headmaster. He has already demonstrated his current abilities in just the first stage of the assessment. Soon, the second stage of the assessment will begin, and I believe that with his strength, he will at least be in the top 3, if not take first place without much difficulty. Based on Hong Xiu's observations of Yi Ling, she was confident he would not disappoint her. Just as the Golden Masked headmaster was about to end the communication, Hong Xiu raised another question. By the way, headmaster, regarding the matter of benefits, how should we proceed? The other 3 top-tier Spirit Master Academies are also eyeing this Yi Ling. I believe each academy will undoubtedly offer significant benefits, so how should we approach this? Although the headmaster had agreed to recruit Yi Ling, she wasn't the only one interested. All 4 top-tier Spirit Master Academies wanted him. At this point, the deciding factor would be the benefits offered. Whoever offered the best package would likely secure Yi Ling. Therefore, Hong Xiu had to understand the headmaster's bottom line in advance. If this Yi Ling you speak of is truly such a prodigy, then I authorize you to increase our best offer by up to 10%, not exceeding 15%. The headmaster of the Vermilion Bird Spirit Master Academy replied decisively. The headmaster's bold move of raising the best offer by 15% even surprised Hong Xiu. It was worth noting that even when facing geniuses from the Holy City, the Vermilion Bird Spirit Master Academy had never offered such favorable terms. But then again, it made sense, considering that the talent and abilities Yi Ling had demonstrated were unmatched even by the geniuses from the Holy City. With the headmaster's approval, Hong Xiu was highly confident in their ability to recruit Yi Ling to their academy. Moreover, it was worth mentioning that the Vermilion Bird Spirit Master Academy had never admitted male students before. There were many female students at the academy. For a male student to enter the Vermilion Bird Spirit Master Academy would be an incredible stroke of luck. It seemed unlikely that any male student would refuse such an offer. After all, with so many beautiful girls in the academy, the appeal was already enormous. Thank you, headmaster. Hong Xiu quickly expressed her gratitude. All right, if that's the case, let's leave it at that for now. I'll await your good news, the Golden Masked headmaster said before ending the communication. With the headmaster's support, Hong Xiu now had a good chance of recruiting Yi Ling. Filled with joy, she walked back towards the stands. The situation was similar for the other 3 top-tier Spirit Master Academies. Hualing, Bai Tong, and Lu Feng were all contacting their respective academy headmasters, hoping to gain support. Without exception, all the headmasters agreed. After all, when such a prodigy appeared in the Federation, there wasn't a single Spirit Master Academy that didn't want to compete for him. At this moment, Yi Ling, who was still in the secret realm, was completely unaware that he had become the apple of the eye of the 4 top-tier Spirit Master Academies. As he continued forward, Yi Ling eliminated all the monsters he encountered. Shuiyu naturally consumed the blood, while Yi Ling gathered the materials for evolution. When he was a little tired, he would stop to rest for a while. After resting, he would continue moving forward. Along the way, Yi Ling encountered other students. However, he didn't bother with them. As long as they didn't actively provoke him, Yi Ling had no interest in dealing with them. Time passed quickly, and the sky gradually darkened. The night was approaching. After another day, Yi Ling and Shuiyu hunted numerous monsters along their journey. Although Shuiyu's level hadn't increased, its experience had reached 92.3%. If they continued hunting monsters tomorrow, they might gain another level. Just one more level increase would bring Yi Ling to the peak of the First Order. He would be just one step away from the Second Order. Perhaps due to consuming large amounts of blood and engaging in battles, Shuiyu's growth rate had increased again, reaching 64.7%. Although there was still a long way to go before evolution, it was a significant step forward.